Come down to a child's pose position, knees apart, toes together. If you can, forehead on the floor. Take a few moments just to breathe into your back body. Send your breath all the way down to the low back. On your exhale, sink your hips down deeply towards your heels. Relax your hips. Inhale into the low back and exhale into the hips. Inhale into the low back. Exhale, sink deeply into the hips. From here, bring the knees slightly wider and go back into child's pose. Lengthen the spine a little bit longer or flatter towards the floor, getting the belly between the thighs. Again, try to set the head on the floor. If it's more comfortable, you can stack your hands and put your head on your hands. Really focus on the hips here and the inner thighs. Hips opening, inner thighs stretching. If this hurts your knees at all, please adjust them so they're more comfortable. It's kind of like a child's pose, but just a little bit wider. Then from here, try just a hair wider with the knees and bring your lower leg parallel to your mat. Notice how I'm more up on my elbows here, kind of holding like a plank in the spine and pushing the hips backwards. This is much more aggressive. Just be careful and mindful of the hip and knee joints. So we're pushing back through our elbows, sinking the hips back towards the heels. Okay, be careful and walk it out. Now you're going to extend your left leg long to the side and sink your hips back towards your right heel. I'm practically sitting on the right heel. You may have to pivot the foot slightly in and the right knee slightly out to be more comfortable in the right hip socket. I'm just resting the head here, feeling the lovely length through the left inner thigh. Long inner thigh. You could be on your head or on your elbows, really whatever's more comfortable. I had to make a little adjustment to make myself more comfortable. But just keep focusing on that left inner thigh. Slowly come up and we're going to switch sides. So I'm going to kickstand that right leg out long. Sink back to sit on the left heel if possible. You may need to open your left knee a little bit more to make your left hip comfortable. Think of holding like a plank in your trunk. If you'd rather relax your head though, you can. The real focus here is that right inner thigh, from the pubic bone to the inside of the knee. This may feel like an intense and deep stretch. Remember to breathe. Inhale and exhale. All right, slowly come out of there. Take your time. Taking a gentle cat-cow, arching and rounding the back. By walking the hands in a little bit closer to the knees, you'll get a little bit more of an aggressive position if that works for you. Notice I'm just kind of moving my head a little bit if it feels good to add some head and neck movement. Really rounding your back as much as you can, get into that low lumbar spine. I like to shift the weight a little side to side sometimes in cat to focus on one side of the back at a time. Going into a little one-sided child's pose, shift the hips to the right and walk the hands to the left of your mat. Focusing on stretching the right side of your back. Lean back into that right hip, reach through your right arm. And then when you're ready, to the other. So shift hips to the left, walk hands to the right, and focus on the left side of your low back. Breathe deep. Inhale and exhale. Inhale back to hands and knees. Reaching your right leg back behind you, really lift it high, and then you're going to bend it and put it behind the left knee, sinking once again back to a child's pose-like position. The hips shift back to the heel, the top knee will come off the floor, and you sit back like a child's pose. You'll really feel the stretch in mostly one glute, maybe both glutes, depending on your body. Lay your belly right on your thigh, drop your head down, maybe even resting your elbows on the floor. Inhale, walking out of there, and we're going to do the other side. So you're going to take your left leg, you're going to lift your left leg up, 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 and you're going to cross it behind the right knee. Then you're going to push back, walk the hands back, sink the hips back towards the heels, kind of like a child's pose, but that top knee will come off the floor. You'll feel it more, probably more in one glute than the other, but really focus on the glutes here. Breathe deep. Inhale into your back body, and exhale, sink into those hips. Inhale, let's take a walk. Come on out of there. Shake it out. Tuck the toes and slowly push up into downward dog and start pedaling out your feet, stretching to the lower leg and the hamstring as well. And then when you're comfy, you're just gonna press down into one of your heels and hold, and we'll stay there in the hold. Push the heel down hard and breathe, bringing length to the back of that leg. Inhale deeply and exhale. Go ahead, switch, sink the heel down and hold. Push the back of the knee backwards, the heel hard into the floor. Make sure that knee's nice and straight. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Back to downward dog. I'm going to slowly move from downward dog to upward dog. If you're new to this, be careful, but you're going to roll through the spine, drop the hips, lift the chest, look up, and then lift the hips and go back to downward dog. So let's up on the toes, forward through a plank, drop the hips and go into upward dog, and then use your strong abs to push you back into downward dog again. Rolling from one position to the next, inhale up dog, and exhale sink the heels downward facing dog. When you're ready, please take your time, walk your feet up and about as wide as your mat. We're going to bend and stretch the legs. Inhale, drop the hips, look forward, and exhale, fold in half. Notice how I grab the ankles and gently pull myself through the legs. Inhale, drop the hips, and exhale, pull yourself to your legs. So from there, you're going to bend into your right knee deeply and walk your hands over to your left ankle. Try to use your arms to pull yourself towards your left thigh. So right knee's bent, left leg is straight, and you're stretching that left hamstring. Really use your arms and pull. Deep breath in and out. Simply switch sides. I'm going to bend into my left leg here and walk over to the right ankle. The right leg is straight, and we're stretching that right hamstring. Use your arms, bend your elbows, and pull your belly towards your thigh. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Walk back to center. We're going to step the feet back on that mat, and you're going to turn your toes out. My feet are just inside the width of my mat. As you drop your hips and gently bounce them, we're in a little crouched position, looking down towards your feet. You're just going to hang those hips low, drop that head heavy, and stretch your low back. Think of it just as a simple crouch. Your heels will probably be off the floor. Take your time, come out of that crouch and come to kneeling. I'm just going to place the knuckles here behind my sacrum, behind the pelvic bone, and gently push the hips forward with a big inhale, squeezing the butt cheeks and stretching the hips. From there, take your left leg and lunge it forward. You're going to really bring your hips forward. You can do that a couple times, back and forth, bringing your hips forward. And your last one, you're going to bring your right hand to the floor, bow your head down low, and hang out here in this modified lunge. If comfortable, you're going to come up off the knee into a full runner's lunge and shift your weight back and forth into a long lunge. A more advanced pose here, you move your left foot out to the side, open that left knee, and come down to your elbows. I like to lean back and forth to open the hips, but always do what's comfortable. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Placing your left foot back on the edge of your mat, place your left hand on your knee and twist towards that front leg. Twist at the belly. And then if you can, you're going to sit and drop down onto your right hip and just hang out. You can sink down into your right shoulder. Feel the stretch from your right armpit to down to your right hip. Think about pulling those 2 points away from each other, stretching your right side body. Inhale. And exhale. Turn carefully back to runner's lunge and then to downward dog. From there, take the right leg, reach it up high, three-legged dog, and draw some circles with your knee. Big circles. Opening the hip. Then keep it up high, flex the foot, and peek underneath your right arm. Reach the right knee up, 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 up. Inhale deeply. And exhale. We're going to take that right leg and step it forward, and here we are ready for the other side. So we're going to come to that modified lunge, back and forth a couple times, lunge forward and back, pushing the hips forward. On your last one, you're going to hold. You're going to feel that left hip open. Breathe in deep. Exhale, drop left hand to the floor, drop the head, snuggle your belly right inside of that thigh. Inhale. Exhale. From here, tuck the toe, come to a full runner's lunge, and start rocking back and forth to open the hips. Keep your back legs straight. Now drop the knee, shimmy the right foot a little off your mat, and open that right knee out of your way. Come down to your elbows and hang out. Again, I like to shift the hips side to side here. It just feels good and organic to me, but do what feels good to you. Inhale deeply. Exhale. As you put your right foot back on your mat, place your right hand on that knee or thigh and twist towards the front leg. Use your arm as leverage and twist. Then from there, you're going to roll onto your left hip. I'm just sinking and resting into the left shoulder, trying to pull the left armpit away from the left hip. So I'm stretching the left side body there. It's more of a relaxed position. So relax. Breathe in deeply and breathe out. When you're ready, turn back through runner's lunge into downward dog. Reach the left leg high to the sky like three-legged dog, and you're going to take those knee circles. You can pick whatever direction you'd like. I just picked the one that felt more organic. Do about 3 knee circles. After the third one, flex the foot, hold the leg high, peek underneath your left arm. Inhale, reach the leg up high, and then step it forward to lunge. We're going to finish the sequence here by stepping forward and rolling up to a standing position. Once again, placing hands or even knuckles behind the hips. Push the hips forward in a little back bend. Inhale, squeeze the glutes. Exhale, coming back up. Placing hands on hips. You're going to take your hips and make a big circle with your hips. I call this around the world, but basically just getting the hips and low back moving in sync. Then make sure you go the other way about 3 times in each direction. Big hip circles. Stand, step the feet apart. Take your right leg behind the left. The left leg is bent, the right leg is straight. Reach up, grab your right wrist as you bend sideways, stretching your hip away from your armpit again. Breathe in deeply. And I'm just going to turn around and do the same leg again. So the right leg goes behind the left one is bent. The right arm reaches up and we pull on that right arm to the side. Again, this is the same side I already did. I'm just repeating it twice. I'm going to turn back around and do the other side now. Left leg goes behind the right leg. Reach the left arm up, grab onto it, and pull it to the side, pulling your hip away from your armpit. Breathe in and exhale. Turn around and other side. Left leg, that's the same leg, steps behind. Grab the left wrist and pull. As you slowly come out of there, step backwards into downward facing dog. Breathe in deep and breathe out. Coming down to kneeling, bringing the feet in front of you, and make sure you have mat room behind you as we rock and roll along the spine. You'll roll along your spine a couple of times, careful not to jam onto your neck. On the last one, you'll roll all the way over, catch the small of your back into plow pose. For the low back today, I'm going to bend my knees. So go ahead, bend your knees. If available, reach around and give your legs a hug. If not, just keep your hands on your low back. Make sure you can breathe. Pull the chin slightly away from the chest, look towards the navel. Feel the stretch in the low back. You're going to take your time when you come out of this position, toning your abdominals, holding onto the legs as you slowly roll down. Take your time, roll down, heavy head, relaxed shoulders, and at the bottom you can hug your knees into your chest and rock side to side on the low back. Side to side. Breathe in and breathe out. Reaching up for the soles of the feet or the big toes. Happy baby pose, rocking again on the low back, side to side. Just gentle rocking from one side of the spine to the other. And then you'll come to stillness. You'll really grab with your hands and pull. Try to pull your knees down towards the floor. Back flat. And then as you slowly release, feet on the floor. Bridge pose. You're going to lift your hips, shimmy your shoulders underneath one another, interlock the fingers, straighten the arms, and use them as leverage to push your hips up high. Go ahead and push your hips as high as you can. No pain in the back though. Take a big belly breath. Push your hips. Inhale up high and exhale. Keep working the inner thigh energy. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor. Inhale. Keep pushing those hips up. Exhale. Don't jam your neck. There's a little space from my chin to the chest. Then release the hands and roll down slowly, please. Take your time. You're going to hug your knees. Right one stays in. We roll over to the left. Open the right arm. I like to make this more intense by straightening that right leg and reaching up towards my ankle. Stretching the IT band, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Try to relax the shoulders and look to your right. Melting into the floor. Inhale. Exhale. Slowly release. Change legs. Left leg crosses over. Twist to the left. An option to straighten that top left leg and reach to the ankle. Inhale, relaxing. Exhale, relaxing. Slowly coming out of there. We're going to roll all the way over this time onto our bellies. Just lay on your belly for a moment and relax. Take a couple breaths, relax your low back. Then organize for cobra. Hands by the sides of the ribs, slowly push yourself all the way up, but keep your thighs on the floor. With your breath, inhale, use your arms, press, keep your thighs on the floor. Exhale, coming down. Inhale, cobra. If you prefer, you can lift your knees and go all the way into upward dog. Inhale, and we're going to exhale, push back into child's pose. From here, sliding right knee forward towards right wrist. Inhale, walk the fingers back towards the hips, lift yourself up, and then exhale, walk forward into pigeon, lengthening the spine. If it hurts your knee, please pull your foot in closer to you. Options to rest your head on the floor like I'm doing, or up on your elbows if that's more comfortable. You're going to feel this a lot in your right hip and glute, maybe some in your hamstring. Try to make any adjustments and get them out of the way so you can be really still. Getting your head down in pigeon is really helpful to calm the mind. So if you are up on your elbows, you could stack your fists, put your head on your fists, or even a yoga block. Inhale. Exhale. Opening the hips. Slowly, when you're ready, we're going to slide the right leg back and slide the left leg forward. Walk the hands back. Inhale, lift yourself up. And exhale, walk yourself forward. Same thing, other side. Opening the hips. Inhale, exhale. When you're ready, we're going to come around and open the legs actually into a big straddle stretch. I always like to warm up my straddle by just shifting my body weight side to side a little bit. It just helps ease the body into the idea of the pose because it's very intense. So just like you're blowing in the breeze side to side. And then I start walking the hands forward, leaning the torso weight forward into the legs. Coming down to where you're comfortable. Maybe it's your hands, maybe it's just your elbows, or all the way down to your head. Do what works for you. And then once you feel like you're good to go, you'll just settle in. I do have my feet flexed here, but sometimes I like to do pointed to toes or even ankle circles. Good time to just play around if you feel necessary to, if it feels good to do that. Keep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Try to find stillness. Again, this pose is going to feel really intense, so just keep breathing through it. Try to get your head down on something if possible to calm your mind. When you feel ready, no rush at all, you're going to slowly push yourself out of there and get ready for a final Shavasana, our corpse pose, our final pose where we just lay in stillness. Make yourself comfortable. If you want to put something like a pillow under your head or cover yourself up with a blanket, even a bolster under your knees, or legs even on a chair. Again, just make yourself comfortable. Close your eyes and just take a moment to notice how you feel after your practice. We focused on hips and low back and just opening up those spaces. So take a moment to notice how your hips and your low back feel. Do they feel different than the rest of your body? More open, resonating on a higher vibration. Just notice your experience right now. If you feel a sense of release or opening or letting go, the hips are a known place where we hold a lot of our kind of emotional baggage and just a lot of our stress and tension. So by opening them up in our practice today, hopefully you feel like you've gotten a nice release or letting go of some internal stuff. So just giving yourself time to process and digest that. Take a moment to release any other tension you feel you have in your body, giving yourself permission to let it go. Taking a moment for gratitude. Feeling your breath rise and fall. When you're ready, no rush. You're going to bend your knees. Take your time to slowly roll over towards one side. Push yourself up to a comfortable seat, bringing your hands to your heart. I want to thank you for practicing with me today on K-Fit. Namaste.